Welcome to our show. Get to know the real estate ecosystem at Real-Estate.Channel, your go-to podcast for unfiltered stories from the people shaping the real estate market. Today's episode is about leadership that actually shows up, not just in titles, but how agents are mentored, supported, and built over time. Today, we are continuing that story from a very powerful perspective. She is Oksana Condon, a broker, leader, and co-founder of the Hamilton Park Group. Oksana has built her reputation on deep Hudson County market knowledge, white glove service, and mentorship that actually develops agent, not just hire them. This conversation is about leadership in action, complicated deals, market cycles, referrals, and what it really means to grow a brokerage culture the right way. Oksana, a very warm welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Anisha, for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show, and I'm very excited.
Perfect. So, Oksana, you started in New York City, but built your legacy in Jersey City. What was it about the Jersey City market that made you say, this is where I belong?
I joined Jersey City market, I would say, in a perfect time, as it was just developing more and more, and the speed was taking off really quickly. The high rises just rising all along the Hudson River, right across from Manhattan skyline. And when I moved to Jersey City to be with my spouse, I discovered this market. And I was fortunate enough to do my first rental and rent an apartment from my dear friend, Christine Rock, my dear friend and colleague. And we rented it at that time. She was a part of Armani Agency, and we rented apartment right across the street from Armani Agency. And because the transaction went so smoothly and we really enjoyed every aspect of it, this was one of the agencies that I was looking into when I was interviewing agencies post when I got my license. And I did reciprocity license in New Jersey.
Amazing. You also mentioned about white glove service. Can you explain it for our audience what white glove service is?
White glove service. So I'm sure that everybody have their own opinion on this, but in my opinion, white glove service is when you really have the best communication, have the best knowledge of the product. That includes the area and the product itself. And you are able to guide your client through the transaction. It doesn't matter, sale, rental, investment. Your client is the main person in all of this. And to provide the best service is something that we thrive to. And we essentially take your hand and take you through the process. And we will, as much as possible, help you with various things that arise throughout the transaction, including like working with zoning, working with the building department. That's already with the complicated deals, right? But that involves great networking all throughout the area that we specialize in, and getting the responses from various places to get the best result for our client.
Now, Oksana, you have worked with Armani Agency. Am I right? Armani
Yes.
Agency. We would love to know your experience while working there. What was that like? And what is the simple, most important piece of advice like you have got while working there?
So Armani Agency was my first agency that I joined here in New Jersey. And I was very fortunate to join it and be a part of it for as long as I was until we didn't acquire by Howard Hanna. When I joined, there was already multiple colleagues that have been in a business for a very long time. Joe Kohler, Paul Amatuzzo, Phil Rivo, Anthony Armagno himself, Angela Rock, Christine Rock, Steven Gucciardo. It was a lot of agents, and all of the agents were very established. I joined actually at the same time when my dear friend and colleague George joined, and so we started this journey together, and he still is an agent as well as I am, and he's doing really well. But when I started, this mentoring that I received from these agents was priceless, as a lot of them are very involved in the neighborhood, very involved in what is happening in the neighborhoods that we are selling in and we're doing transactions in. Methuselah was sitting for a while on the historic board. Joan Kohler was involved with the Hamilton Park and many other places. So we are very much involved in the community establishment, realty. There you go. I wouldn't say organization. We're not organization. We are a real estate agency.
Now we would like to talk about your passion. You have a deep love for history. What does a house histories help you sell it to a modern buyer?
Well, first of all, we are right now in my home today, and this home was built in 1890, so over 136 years ago. And it's a brownstone brick house, and some of the historic details are still preserved. I have a beautiful tin ceiling. You cannot see it. But selling history is very interesting. It's a product that lasted for that many years, and many of them will last for many, 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 many more years. It is very interesting also to discover that. So now we have backyards, and they come out into the sort of this courtyard. But prior to dividing and subdividing the lots, people would use this courtyard as their main place for the bathroom, washing their clothes, getting the water. Well was right there. And this was a very much horses. There was two places where the horses would come in. So it was a very different community back in 1890, and the way they were using the courtyards. And also many of the historic places have mantles in them, and that's how people used to warm up their homes with the coal. So it's very interesting when we learn about these homes or who potentially stayed in these homes. Like, was a home where Washington had his coffee. Only a few blocks away from here, the Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton, was his duel where he was killed, was just up the hill from us. So this place is very much historic. Paulus Hook Battle happened in 1600 when indigenous people were trying to protect their land, and just rich with history. We also share Statue of Liberty. It's only a few blocks away from here, and you can see it in our harbor. It's facing backside to us. However, it is a beautiful landmark. And of course, the beautiful New York skyline is just mesmerizing. The walk down the river, run. We have a lot of people that run. It is a very lovely run. So we have a mixture of brownstones, historic housing, and we have newer development, a lot of newer and new development, including high rises, as well as refurbished factories that have served for a long time on the Hudson River. Also down the Hudson River back in the day, we have a lot of refurbished factories now that are converted into condos and commercial buildings, office spaces, so on. But they were serving a big part of New Yorker life back in the day, as well as all of the stuff was delivered here and manufactured here. One of the landmarks that we feature in Jersey City is the Colgate clock. And the Colgate clock is here just because we had a Colgate factory and we used to produce toothpaste here and many, many other things. There is a funny story that I read in a book called Five Finger Discount that is about Jersey City. And one of the warehouses was closed at some point, and we had trains that would run all the way to the Hudson River, right? And then they would ship the rest of the stuff. So they would bring lobster tails, seafood, and they would be stored in the facilities here. So when this warehouse was closed, somebody forgot about the seafood being stored in this warehouse. And the smell was all throughout Jersey City. You can imagine. So there's a lot of history. It's a very fun place to live in and to do business in.
Now, Oksana, what are your thoughts on having deep market knowledge? And what do you think about that? Having a deep market knowledge is more important than having a massive marketing budget. What are your thoughts on it?
I think when you represent a client, as I said earlier, it is very important to know your product and what you're selling, to know your area, to know your consumer as well. So to know, I think both are important. marketing is important because when we get the product from our client, our job is to get this product out as further as possible. So we get to that one buyer, right? If we're on the listing side, that one buyer that is passionate and wants this product. Marketing is the key for this, right? But the knowledge of the product, if you don't have the knowledge on what you're selling or what to come during the transaction, it can be challenging and sometimes deal breaking. So in my opinion, that is very important for the agent to know the product and also to have marketing. It is very, both are equally important.
And Oksana, what is that one luxury touch you provide that other brokers might skip?
When it comes to our clients or when it comes to agents that work with us, or
In every sense, you can explain it. Like, is that one luxury touch different for each segment?
every transaction is very different when it comes to client. It is very much, we need to get comfortable with the client. We need to build the trust with the client where we feel, and we absolutely have to report to our client all throughout the transaction on what is occurring and how everything is occurring. So we have, first and foremost, to have the best communication, open communication, and then approach every single aspect accordingly. When it comes to agents, the personal touch is that when I interview with many companies, I think what they are lacking is understanding who you truly are, right? They come from perspective of you make money, right? You are the agent, you're a top producer, and we want you on board, which is great, And when you ask, what are you able to give me, right? Because being a top producer is very difficult. You have to really, really work a lot and, constantly expand your business constantly. So when I interview with many of the people, they typically tell me the general story, which is we will give you marketing, we will give you brochures, you will be a part of our system, which is like includes like documentation and also like the marketing where you can do outreach, and or sometimes they will give you an office and so on. Nobody takes you and tells you, hey, you're gonna get a listing and I will take your hand. And when I take your hand with this new listing that you brought to us, I will guide you through this every step of the way on how we're gonna make this listing and how we're gonna market it and how we get it to that one person that needs and wants this listing, right? How we're
Yes.
gonna market you, how we're gonna work with you as an individual into the best way to get your business to where you driving for it to be, and how we're gonna work on this together. There is a lack of that. I have not heard on a defined plan when it comes from all the other companies, how we're going to achieve that. And this is something that myself and the Hamilton Park Group provides for our agents. Last week, in the past year, we have now 2 new agents that joined our group. We are very slow to accept a new agent. We really do the interview and we sit down and we talk with you to see if this is a good fit and that we will be able to trust each other and work with each other in developing your business. It is important to us to understand where is this agent? What is the capabilities of this agent? And then the rest, the area, the marketing, so on will come. At first, we have to understand, are you a hardworking person? Do you really thrive to be a good agent? Right? Because to provide the white glove service, we truly need to have agents that come and have respect to clients, have respect within the company, and do prioritize the client and their needs and are able to listen to the client, understand. This is something that we teach when we bring in an agent and when we train the agent. and the way we work with the agent. We truly provide, we truly go with you and show places with you, do open houses with you. It is a process, but one of our newer agents, Joseph Falduti, who's been with us for a year, he's showing remarkable results. Remarkable results. He's able to close on multiple deals. He is thriving. He's networking. And our support in this was detrimental. But with this, Joseph felt confidence and he took off. And he's on his way up and he's doing fantastic. And we have great communication and we are a team. We are truly thriving and getting a great energy from each other. And this way we're able to give great energy to our clients, to the product we sell, and working together helps us to better give a white glove service, to make sure that somebody will be there to tell about the product.
Oksana, why did you decide to build a group, Hamilton Park Group, that we all know, rather than just remaining a solo superstar?
Because I wasn't a solo superstar to begin with. I started working really, really well with one of my partners, Joan Kohler. And she is the one who made me into a superstar, to be honest. And I'm very grateful for her. She's my dear friend. I have such a pleasure working with her. She taught me so much, basically everything I know, because I spent every single day with her and I'm on a call with her all the time. When I have any question, she's my go-to person. She has, when I had doubts at the beginning, the first year when I started, I made like $20,000, and dollars is, you can't afford to live in Jersey City for $20,000, which is a very low income for a year. And that definitely made me feel like, the second, maybe this is not for me. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe, I wasn't meant to be a real estate agent. And John has stopped me and said, you're working very hard. It takes time to build your client base. It takes time to understand the market. It takes time to learn all of this stuff. So I never was a solo star. So when Joan and I started working together so well, I'm being a part of our money agency at the time, I wanted to elevate our business and to show that we are really giving the white glove service to our clients and that we really cherish our clients and we really care about every single transaction. And I wanted to highlight that. Anthony Armagna at that time operated, he had a website and he was still operating or trying to get in with the time, but I wanted to make sure that we have the Instagram page presence, right? Because Instagram was already getting very big at that time. And I needed us to get out there to be able to highlight on a social media, what are we doing here in the neighborhood? And long story short, I'm still building that. And I hope this year will be a good year with our new agents to concentrate on. This is one of the things that we want to concentrate, as well as I wanted to build a separate web page where we highlight specifically our products and our deals that we are dealing with. So that was the main thing I wanted to do and to achieve by building the Hamilton Park Group. And that was my goal. That was my goal because we were working together so well and it was taking off so much responsibility of being a solo performer. And since then we expanded, we added Phil Riva almost right immediately when we were forming. It took us a few years to be able to bring on because it took us a few years to develop our platform, to develop on what are we doing. In the meantime, we had COVID happen, we got inquired by a corporate, Howard Hanna ran Realty. There was few changes, but since we became Howard Hanna ran Realty, we were able to elevate the Hamilton Park Group. And now we have 2 new agents that are doing amazing, and we are very proud of that.
Working with agents, when you work with agents, how does it look like in a stressful week? Favorite historic landmark in Hudson County? is the secret to a long-lasting business partnership in real estate?
Secret is trust, communication, and hard work. So during the stressful week, first of all, almost every week can be stressful because you're dealing with a very large sum of money. Every transaction is a large sum of money. And many times it's a person's largest investment that they have in their life when it comes to sale of the property, right? Because rental, it's a transaction. Is people move in and it depends, but typically it's not a permanent dwelling. Even though my recent transaction, people live there all their lives. They were born in this dwelling. The dwelling was 104 years in a family. Yes, and when our buyers have inquired about this place, two lovely ladies have been there for over 80 years, and they were born into this home. But typically, the renters don't stay as long, so it's it's not a forever home. So when we deal with the sale properties, it can be stressful because there's multiple things involved in the transaction that needs to be checked off before the deed is transferred. So, and this is what we help our client with. So when we stumble upon not good inspection or open permits or some liens on the property, there's many things that we can talk about that can make the transaction stressful or not responsive parties. There's multiple things that can occur. So when we talk about working with each other as a group, it is helpful because you can come, you trust this person, and they know that we have the best interest and that we will try to give the best advice on how to handle this communication. Or, it also helps that we have a great network of agents here in Hudson County, and being in the real estate world, I'm 11 years, my partner's over 20 years, our colleagues, we know each other, and it is much easier when we have done transactions together to go and to be able to communicate and potentially help resolve this together, basically. But it can be stressful when we work with other agencies, and we don't have this good communication and we're unable to, you always have to have first and foremost your client in mind. So you make it work. One of my recent transactions was difficult because we were not present in communication between attorneys, right? And seller and buyer. And when you are not present in that communication, you don't know many things that occur within that communication, right? And the sellers or the buyers can choose us agents not to be present in that communication. So, in that email thread. So when then the clients from there, we were in this transaction, we were representing both sides. When the clients almost at the end of the deal came to us with the missing documents, was the missing things, we were blindsided, right? Because we were not aware what was communicated, what was done. But yet here we are before closing, trying to figure out various things that had to happen prior to this, right? So it is not easy, but what we have to do, we have to navigate it and have a proper communication. And that's the key, basically, to have the communication. And sometimes it is one of other transactions, my recent transactions, is that I had no communication from the seller side or very little of it. And it was extremely difficult. My people had to pay additionally $2,000 to stay in their place because the closing was prolonged for 2 weeks. They were very stressed. I was stressed. The property was on the market for half a year, and there was open permits. And with, when you don't have closed permits, you have to close them up, right? You did the repairs, you have to close up permits. The inspector has to come out, take a look and approve, right? But the property was on the market for half a year. You're questioning why have this not occurred prior to my client's closing? why did we have to prolong our closing for 2 weeks? And why is my clients, my buyers in this have to pay extra funds and be in the position that they were when all of this could have been avoided? But there is something that you don't have control over, and you just have to stay strong for your clients and guide them accordingly. And we got the transaction to closing. We did close with an escrow with open permits, and currently we are still trying to close out the permit.
So now, Oksana, what is the biggest mistake you see new agents are making in their first 6 months and that can be avoided?
I think that I wouldn't call it a mistake. I would say that they don't utilize the knowledge of the agents that are experienced. And I think they're not interning with the agents that are experienced. One of my advice would be is to absolutely affiliate yourself with the agent that has experience, that does a lot in your area, and try to get an interview with them and try to talk to them and see if this agent is a good fit for you. And, it doesn't matter. You can change your company within a year if you're not happy with the company, but affiliating yourself and interning in a way, because you're still going to get paid, right? If you do the proper way of learning, you will still do transactions. But that crucial beginning, you will be making your own mistakes that can be avoided, and you can be guided better if you do have that mentorship.
And uh, Oksana, let's talk a bit about the complicated deals that you have actually handled. Like you mentioned that you have dealt with oil tanks, lead pipes, and VA loans on one property. How do you keep a buyer?
Communication. We have to talk and we have to understand together what is next steps. But the main thing is for the client to know that we are here, we are handling this. And if it's not the right handling, we can always go back and start from scratch, right? But yes, we had actually one of these transactions. That's how we got our Joseph Balducci to join, because that transaction was long and it was difficult. But honestly, the seller and the buyer made it easy for us. We were very fortunate to have both sides to work on this together with us, and we were given a realistic timeline on what it will take, because the couple was buying a house. It was a VA loan, which gives a certain perks to veterans. But with VA loan, you definitely have a certain criteria that you have to meet. And we were able to successfully guide our clients through, as well as the sellers, because we were representing both sides in that transaction. In that property, we had to extract oil tank, deal with lead pipe, and as well with the sewer pipe. So it was almost everything that you can imagine delaying. And, to extract the oil tank from oil tank is something that people used to heat their homes with oil. So the machine would come and fill up. And in Jersey City, a lot properties have the underground oil tank, and they will fill up the oil. And from that, the house would be heated. Basically, the oil would heat the house. And a lot of these houses, historic houses, do have one. And I recommend running and doing the inspection, because it can become an environmental hazard, as some of these tanks have corroded and leaked. And this oil is a dangerous oil for the soil, and it has to be extracted a certain way. So for it to be extracted, you need to get an oil tank removal company that will submit a permit with the city, and then the permit has to get approved, and then you have to block off the street. You need a specific large equipment, and to come to the property, dig out. The bulldozers have to dig out the hole, extract the tank. Then the oil tank company sends the photographs and everything for testing. Then I believe it's Albany that gives the clearance for this tank, that it's, all good, and we can proceed to, with our transaction and oil tank extracted, the soil is good, there's no leakage, and we're all good to go. But that takes 2 months, 3 months, and a typical transaction takes months and a half. So it's a long time. And our dear clients, our dear buyers at that time was getting married in abroad, and it was a fun transaction. And Joseph was living in that property at a time, and he was able to help with some research. And at some point, I said, Joseph, you should join potentially our group, and maybe you would be interested to become a real estate agent. Because he was very curious about everything that we were doing. We had to enter his unit multiple times. He was very kind in letting us access his unit, and we had to dig out and access the sewer pipe in his apartment living room. We had to break tile, dig in, expose the pipe. It's a lot. It was a lot. And after all of that, Joseph reached out to us and joined the group. So I think we did well. Yes. Become a real estate agent, because he was very curious about everything that we were doing. We had to enter his unit multiple times. He was very kind in letting us access his unit, and we had to dig out and access the sewer pipe in his apartment living room. We had to break tile, dig in, expose the pipe. It's a lot. It was a lot. And after all of that, Joseph reached out to us and joined the group. So I think we did well.
Marvelous. Okay, so Oksana, tell us that the specialized team that you have, like Hamilton Park Group, how do you compete with the giant national factory brokerages?
Well, first of all, we are a major city. Since 20 and I started seeing a lot of change in Jersey City, including our Grove Street closing and becoming a pedestrian street. And a lot of high rises, like I said, has since been built in downtown Jersey City, Journal Square, as well as a lot of development in Bergen Lafayette, Hoboken, Weehawken, Union City, all throughout. We have a huge amount of development that occurred. So with that, a lot of agencies are formed here because Armani Agency was office number 21 in New Jersey. It was formed 36 years ago, and it was only number 21 in New Jersey. Anthony Armani was way ahead of time, and we were able to manage many properties. So when I joined, that was another thing that was helpful to do rental properties and stuff like that. That Phil Riva and Anthony Armani were giving me the rental. So I trained as well on that. But there's plenty of business for everybody. I think it's just a matter of how you do the transaction, how you treat your clients, and the knowledge of the product. So I think that it's just working hard, hustling. You absolutely have to hustle, and you have to be available for a client. Sometimes in the evenings, on the weekends, absolutely. That's our major time when we work. When people are having time off, we have to realize that this is our time when we work, and we show places and we do open houses and things like that, right? Competing, I think every single agent in here has their own approach to the market, and there are very successful agents in Hudson County. I am very proud of them because they are truly shaping up the way that our skyline looks. Mega Mosa, Breen Barnaby, Mark Trumpeter with his partner Enrique, as well as Patrick Southern. I don't want to miss anybody, but Megan Gulick, she does a lot in like Jersey City Heights area. They're just incredible, high skilled agents. Diana Souther, they're very, very, very high skilled. Laura Scholar, Angela Rock, that's from my agency. Karen DiMonti, also from my agency. They're doing a tremendous work, and they're absolutely white glove service to their clients. So we don't compete. I wouldn't say that. At least I don't compete with them, because everybody have their own way of doing business. I have my way. And we are very respectful towards each other, and we help each other because it is, like I said, sometimes navigating the transaction can be challenging, and it is helpful when you have an agent that is really professional in their field to help you navigate.
So, Oksana, now we would like to talk about the cross border connections that you have. Now, can you tell us about the collaboration with the Elgren team in Manhattan? How does that benefit a seller in Jersey City?
Thank you. Thank you. I mean it. Yes, absolutely. One of the most recent additions to Howard Hanna family is office in Manhattan by Times Square. It was prior a real estate agency, Algren, and now they are part of Howard Hanna family. This has created a fantastic bridge to our Jersey City, Hoboken offices, as well as all throughout the tri-state area, as Howard Hanna is one of the family-owned all throughout United States, all throughout United States companies. But we have a huge amount of offices in all throughout New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. We are everywhere. But this was, I think, very needed, important addition that happened now as it centralizes our tri-state area. And fantastic agents. We got to meet them. We got to meet another group there that is similar to the Hamilton Park group, and to be able to share and show our area to them. You know, they asked us, can we come out? Can we take a look? Absolutely. Let's make business together, because they have clients that have been inquiring to come out here to Hudson County to look at properties, because you can afford more for your dollar here than you can in New York. So let's say our brownstones here on the Hamilton Park can purchase for 2.4 million. In New York, Manhattan itself, it would be for like 20 million, 18 million, right? And same taxes, right? But you are able to afford, and we're so close to Holland Tunnel, 5 minutes, we're in Manhattan. So it is a very, very convenient commute for people from New York, but it allows us to spread our network to even bigger possibilities, right? As well as investing, right? People from New York are welcome to invest in here. And as well for our people for our clients here in Hudson County who want to experience and go live in New York and purchase in New York, we have that personalized touch. We have the people that we trust that will give that white glove, personalized, knowledgeable service to guide you through transaction in Manhattan and all the boroughs.
As president of Ukrainian Jersey City, how do your community values translate into your business values?
Yes, so I am a Ukrainian, born in Ukraine and a citizen of the United States. And our Ukrainian community actually over 100 years old in Hudson County, ever since the first comers who came through Ellis Island, all the way to most recently arrived people. Having Ukrainian Jersey City, a nonprofit organization that I volunteer in, and many of my Ukrainian friends volunteer in. I think it's helpful more so to our community to be able to have a Ukrainian speaking person to be able to help them here, as well as because real estate market is very different in Ukraine. So I'm very happily help them to navigate our market here and help them. I think it's very important to be a part of your community to begin with, not necessarily like ethnical, but the part of community that you are serving, right? So it so happens that we formed Ukrainian Jersey City, and it became a big part of my life volunteering there, especially with ongoing events, with ongoing war in Ukraine. A lot of families have arrived here. A lot of families came with their children here to escape the brutal reality of fighting for freedom in Ukraine. And so when they came in, to have this Ukrainian community and have the connections that we have built through real estate was good for them to navigate schooling, to navigate many housing aspect and so on. It was detrimental to many of them. And I'm so happy that they trusted me. And now also my dear company have been nothing but a grand support to this. And they allow us always to come to the office and do our meetings in the office or organize some various events in the office. And it became like a second home to them. So they're very much come in, even when I'm not there. Our Ukrainian friends, they stop by the office and they feel at home, they feel comfortable. But it's honestly for all of our community. Like I said, Joni has been a part of the community. Paul has been a part of the community. And so we always, our door is open. We have, over this weekend, we have a big loss in our community. Our dear friend Angelo has passed away. He's a part of Van Voorst Park Association, and he was doing a food pantry, and he was helping a lot of Ukrainian families in the food pantry as well. Bigger than life human person, with knowledge of multiple languages. I believe he knew Italian, French, and I don't know what other languages. He didn't know Ukrainian, but he always came to me asking, what can I do? How can we help them? How can we collaborate? He was a professor at St. Peter's University. He was a dear friend, a friend to Jen, and he was a dear friend to all of us in the community. So we really, really, it's a big loss for us. We're really saddened by this loss, but when I'm telling you, we are involved with each other and we cherish each other in our community. It's a huge loss for us, and we really truly feel it today in this past few days. So
About to ask you this thing, that is it okay for me to keep what you just shared your loss in the video, or do you want me to?
yes,
Okay.
I would want that to be in there. Actually, thank you.
Okay. So now you have
Angelo
seen
Estrada. His last name Angelo Estrada. Angelo Estrada.
Oksana. Now I would like, you have worked with multiple market cycles. You have experience in working with market cycles. Having seen different cycles now, what is your best advice for buyers who are waiting for the market to crash?
Navigating all the markets is my partners. A buyer wants market to crash because they want to pay less money for the product, right? And of course, because it's such a large investment that you are going to invest in, right? And investing in your home, I think, is one of the most important things that we can do in our life because this is where we live, right? So I think that investing in our home should be one of the biggest priorities, as you always need somewhere to live forever. And of course, buyers always want for the market to crash. However, from my partner's words, who navigated 9/11, because we just across the river, and my partner Joan would stand with her cell phone back then and give people who were covered in dust her phone when they crossed the river to call their relatives to say, I'm okay, right? When all the transactions were canceled overnight because the world didn't know what was going to happen next. And then everything returned to norm within a week or two of the terrible terror. And navigating the crash of 2008, right? I was told that is a very, and you have to understand what means the market crash in that perspective, right? Because the 2000, so we know, the 9/11, right? What had occurred, and then knowing, however, our market, yes, however, our market is New York City, right? What is New York City? What is Jersey City to New York City? What is Hoboken to New York City? What is Hudson County to New York City? Well, it means a lot. And when you start understanding what is New York City to the world, it's first and foremost a stock market, right? It's the main stock market is located in New York City. American dollar is number one currency in the world market. and period, right? So when you come to investment, that's what's very important to understand. Us being across the river helps our markets stay stable and the prices stay stable and rise, right? But inflation, there's many things that come to play when we navigate the price of the product, right? With market crash of 2008, what had occurred was the loans were given out to many people. Whoever would come, they were able to secure a loan fairly easy. And the mortgage brokers back then were not as involved into understanding the ratio of the debt versus income, right, that the person had. And so when the loans were given out to people who weren't able to handle monthly payments, it went into a foreclosure, short sales, and the market has crashed. However, we did not experience a huge difference, right? Because yes, you get a lot of stuff on the market. However, the market value has not really gone down. It was a slight shift, but a very slight one. So that's one thing. Also, it's important to understand about appraisal, right? When you finance your property, we're not talking about cash buyers. When you finance, right? When you take a mortgage out, there is appraisals, independent appraisals. So since the 2008 market crash, one of the things is that the mortgage company will hire an independent appraiser that will come out and will appraise the property in the market, right? What is it selling for? So you can say, I want for my property 100K more, right? 100,000 more. But at the end of the day, when somebody gonna come with financing option, an appraisal will not appraise this in 100K more because this is not the market. And then will be at the price that the market is showing us. So there's multiple things comes when we talk about the market crash. Next, other market adjustment that we had was in COVID, right? When the world shut down and we saw that there was not much movement in that time on the market. We had a lot of rental movement in the Hudson County, but not as much for probably 1 month or 2 weeks. Not much movement on the sales because people didn't know how to navigate it, right? That's when investors come out. That's when you can get a deal, especially depending on how fast the product has to sell and what is the positioning of the people, of the seller, right? There's many things that you have to navigate in this situation, but a lot of investors have capitalized on this because of the market crash. So you have, when you're purchasing a product, you first and foremost, as a buyer, especially as a first-time home buyer, you have to be realistic about your financial capabilities. You should absolutely understand what is your monthly payment is when you are purchasing your property, and don't stress yourself, right? If you want a certain lifestyle, perfect. Then you have to navigate your monthly payment accordingly, right? So that's where navigating the market crash comes. Like a lot of investors capitalize right when the market crashes. Buyers wait for it, but I'm not sure if it's it happens, I would say, every 10 years from 2011, 2008, 2009, 2001, 2009, and then 2020. So like every 10 years, you have some window of time when you can purchase for a little bit better price or a little bit better rates. Also in COVID, we had a very good rate at 2.25. One of my clients refinanced their property for 2.25 mortgage. It's unheard of. Current market is 6%. So just imagine how much more you can afford for your dollar when you purchase back then. And I was saying to many of my clients, this is the time. And few of them were waiting for the mortgage rate to drop even further. and they miss the window of opportunity, unfortunately. So basically, we have, it's a market crash. You can utilize certain ways. When you purchase a property, you have to first and foremost be realistic with your financials and understand your financials. It's your investment, and you have to treat it as that, right? That's first. Second, when market crashes, there is opportunities for you to refinance and do better with your monthly payment. So various things, you can, but it's navigatable. At the end of all of this, the main thing is every single person needs to have a home, and we need to live somewhere. And it depends. Are you gonna rent? Are you gonna buy? It depends how you navigate.
Thank you for sharing that, Oksana. It was really insightful. Okay, so Oksana, coming on to branding part. So, how important is visual storytelling in real estate today?
Visual aspect is extremely important. When I started, I remember looking at the photographs on the multiple listing service. I belong to Hudson MLS listing service, and there was photographs taken on, I don't know what cameras, but not professionally taken, right? Not professional angles. And visual aspect is so important for the person that is not immediately here. That's your first face, right? Of the way you are showing your product right now. Now we have so many real estate platforms that without the visual aspect, you are not able to get that to your consumer, right? Consumer now has access to all the apps, Zillow, Street Easy, that feeds off of our MLS. So once we upload the listing, it goes to 192 platforms, right? And that's our job as an agent who is listing this property and working with our client to our best ability to provide the perfect visuals where the client is able to navigate through photographs on the product. As well as on marketing, it is extremely important. Yes. Can I add to that previous question one more thing? Yes. So, and also since COVID, and maybe even before COVID, but I've started feeling it so much more that our clients are come from all over the place, all over. I have kids from India that are coming here to schools and stuff like that, or relocating for work, people from all over the globe. And this visual aspect is extremely important for us to be able to advertise. As our real estate became not very much concentrated just on our area, it is a worldwide. At the current world, we are worldwide marketing, so it is very important.
So now, Oksana, thank you for sharing that. And I think that the next question will be the last question of this episode. So, when people hear the name Hamilton Park Group, what is the one word you want them to associate with it?
It's professionalism.
So, Oksana, now we would like to go on the fun round, which is called the Hudson County Hustle. It's a rapid kind of a question. You need to give us one word or short phrase answers only. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. So, classic brownstones or modern high rise?
I like both depending because some have concierges and brownstones don't, but I love historic aspect as well. And then it's like high rises, you are with multiple people, and brownstone, if it's a single family, then you're by yourself. So they both have their own quality, good quality.
Thank you for sharing that, Oksana, but you cannot cheat. This is a rapid fire and you have to choose one.
Because right now I live in a brownstone, but I eventually want to live in a high rise. At the moment, brownstone.
Perfect. Okay. The best place for a closing celebration dinner in Jersey City? It's a rapid fire.
Patello.
Okay. Now, what is your must-have morning beverages to start the hustle?
A coffee and water.
And paper contract or digital signatures?
Digital.
Start the hustle. And paper contract or digital signatures? Favorite historic landmark in Hudson County?
And Statue of Liberty.
The one thing you always keep in your car during showings?
My laptop.
And open houses. We are talking about open houses. Now, music playing in the background or total silence?
Music playing in the background, classy music.
And if you weren't the real estate expert that you are today, what would your job be?
Some sort of salesperson or managing things.
Just one. You have to say one thing.
Okay, still salesperson.
Perfect. And the last one for this evening, can you describe the Jersey City market in exactly 3 words?
Historic, Hudson River, and Manhattan as our playground.
Oksana, this has been such an eye-opening conversation, from the detective work of oil tank and lead pipes to the heart you put into the Ukrainian Jersey City community. It is clear why people trust the Hamilton Park Group so much. You aren't just selling properties, you are building the neighborhood. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your ecosystem with us.
Thank you, Anisha. This was such a pleasure, and thank you for having me on your program. It's such a pleasure to share all of our knowledge with you, and I hope you were able also to learn something from our market.
Indeed,
Come
we
visit
will.
us.
Sure, we will. For everyone listening, if you are an agent looking for a team that actually invests in your growth, you need to contact Oksana today. And you can find her and the team at Hamilton Park Group, or follow their journey on Instagram, which is at Hamilton Park Group. Am I right, Oksana?
The Hamilton Park Group. So it's a THE. That's fine. Absolutely. But you can always find us at Howard Hanna Rand Realty in downtown Jersey City.
So you can check out their latest listing across Jersey City, Hoboken, and Hudson counties, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And to all our listeners, if you enjoyed this peek behind the curtain of the real estate world, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Until next time, this is Get to Know the Real Estate Ecosystem. Keep building, keep growing, and keep talking about real estate. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.